Hello everyone, this is Kalle from Tunermaxx, the game director of Snow Scout and 90s Extreme Skiing. As you can see, we are in Snow Scout here, but I wanted to explain you the controls of both Snow Scout and 90s Extreme Skiing in a bit more detail, because some people didn't find the tutorial button in 90s Extreme Skiing, and also our tutorial doesn't seem to be that clear to everyone because we had a really hard time explaining the game. And also some people don't understand the languages that are supported in the game, so I thought I would just make this video to make it all a little bit clearer. And also now you can use the subtitles from Google, with this button down there, and they can be translated into many more languages. So hopefully that will help. All right, so let's get started. The first thing you need to know is how to open the in-game menu, which is your tablet computer. So you can put it in your left hand or in your right hand. And to do that, you just press the face button on the controller you want to use. So the lower one of the two face buttons, I think on the left hand it's square, and on the right one it's cross or X, I believe. So just bring that up, and then you have a laser pointer on the other hand where you can do all your settings. And for example, you can turn off this vignette if you don't like it. That helps against motion sickness, but many people don't need it. And also there is this AR overlay that gives some information. Some people don't like that either, so you can switch it to half or even completely off. And yeah, that's just something according to general preferences. Then there are, of course, like information in the Scoutpedia, where you can also find information on the controls, which is sometimes useful to have another look at. And yeah, there are also these movement settings where you can also put in some more stuff. Have a look at it at your own time. Check it out. It's interesting. Hopefully stuff that can help. But now let's get to the most important stuff, that is the controls. Of course, like in most VR games, when you are on foot, you can move your character with the left stick forward and backwards. And of course, you can strafe to the left and right. This would be useful if there were any enemies to fight, I guess. And with the right hand, you can turn. And you can either use smooth turn, which is what I'm doing now, or snap turn. If you're more prone to motion sickness, then snap turn is of course more comfortable. Yeah, that is walking. Of course, walking is very slow in the snow. You would normally have these heavy ski boots on, and the snow is deep, so you can't move that fast. So skiing is what we want to do in these games. And to ski, you have to push both thumbsticks at the same time. Then you will get your skis like this. Now I have my skis here and my ski sticks. In Snow Scout, the hands always look open like this. Never mind it. It's because you can still pick up objects while you have these sticks in your hands. But don't worry about it. It's just like an optical thing. But now the important thing is that we try to make the skiing controls as lifelike as possible. But for people who have never skied in their life, this is of course even more confusing, I guess. So to simulate cross-country skiing as well as descent skiing, we came up with the following solution. So if you hold your sticks vertically like this, this means you want to gain speed and push off from the ground. You can already see it happening. If I do this, I get faster. And if I want to get really fast, I can really make these huge motions, which make me really fast. And also, if I lower my body posture a little bit, I also get a little bit faster. But we did this only a very little bit because we did not want to disadvantage players that play seated, even though I have to say that, in my opinion, the games play much more immersive if you play standing up, but of course that's down to your preference, and some people cannot play standing, so that's also important that they can still play the game. With that being said, there's also another important thing, that is if you push your thumbsticks forward, you can also get a speed boost, so if you go right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, that's also like pushing off. So if you don't want to swing your arms all the time, and it's very hard to get uphill. If you want to get uphill here, you would have to really do quite a bit of work, so it's much easier to just use the thumbsticks, you know, and then you can push them forward in this alternating rhythm, left, right, and then you get up the hill quite easily. And in 90s extreme skiing, this will give you a little speed boost that also accumulates. So if you do some cool tricks or pass some more gates, then you get a larger boost, you know, so like in these 90s games essentially. So, but now the other important thing. So again, if I hold the ski sticks vertically like this, it means I want to push off and gain speed. But what about steering? So if you want to steer, the thing is you have to turn your controllers forward, so the ski sticks now point to the back and they are parallel with the ground and parallel with the skis, because this indicates that you now want to steer. And if you now turn both your hands left, you will see that the skis will also turn left, and if you turn them right, they will turn right. And this is pretty cool because you can just make very slight turns, you know, can very much control about your movements, and even up to very extreme turning, which you can also use to brake. So if I do this and then I brake, you know, I'll stop and you even see the snow flying here. So this is exactly what would happen in real life. So I think this is pretty fun, but of course, if you gain speed, you should know how you slow down again. And this is also like taken from real life skiing. You have to hold your hands like this again to steer, you know, but now you have to turn them towards each other. So the skis make this pointy triangle, which is called a snowplough in skiing, you know, because then the skis, of course, rub against the snow and they break. And this is good to slow down if you're sliding on low speeds. You know, when you're really fast, this will not do much, and you have to do this technique of like doing a hard spin, you know, like a drift, which I showed earlier. All right, and another thing that's pretty important, especially if you're standing and you want to turn in place, you know, while having the skis on. Of course, you can always push both thumbsticks again to go to walking and do whatever you want, especially in Snow Scout. If you want to operate some machinery or whatever, always go to walking mode, because it doesn't make sense. Sometimes you can't even reach stuff when the skis are in the way. Oh, and speaking of things getting in the way, you need a bit of space to put on your skis, you know. So for example, if I go to this rock and I try to put on my skis here, oh, that was working, but now you see you can't because there's no space. And this is also happening in 90s extreme skiing if you are too close to an obstacle. All right, so another technique for braking, by the way, is oh no, I wanted to explain the sharp turning, right, and turning in place. So to do this is a technique, this is also from real life skiing. When you are skiing fast and you want to make a turn on a like heavily banked slope, skiers will do the following. They will stick one ski stick ahead of them in the snow and then they will turn around it, you know, so they can have better control and can time their whole body movement together with the swing. So you slide, you put one ski stick in the ground and then you turn. And the way you do this in this game is you put a ski stick in the ground, you know, and then you squeeze the trigger. And now if I turn my hand, I will turn in the direction where I'm turning my hand. So yeah, I guess this is really super unusual if you are not used to skiing, but if you ski, then it's like, well, like reality essentially, because you do this. And then you can do a very sharp turn, and if you have the right amount of speed, then of course the snow will start flying, right? All right, so and another thing this is useful for is if you are just sliding slowly and you just want to stop, you can also just pull the trigger while the ski is in the ground, because this means you exert force into the ground, basically, you know. And so you can do this and then pull the trigger and then you stopped. Of course, works with the other hand too. But in general, to do this turning in place, you just use one hand, you know, pull the trigger, doesn't matter which hand you use. You turn left or right, whichever way you want. And of course, you can, if you want to like turn around fully, you know, you can do this, then you can do it again, and you can do it again, and then you turn around like 360 degrees. So yeah, that's pretty much it, I guess. I don't know, is there anything else? Let's ski around a little bit while I think, but I guess that should be it. Yes. Well, pretty weird way to end the video, I guess, but I hope this helps. And if you have any further questions, just ask them in the comments below, and then I will get back to you. Woo! Skiing! Yeah! Woo! 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 Ah, it's so much fun. Woo! Sharp turn and all stopped. Bye, people. See ya!